When I first came to America, I used to do house cleaning. I used to clean houses. And I remember that my clients could tell the difference if I had moved the furniture and vacuumed under the furniture and then put it back. There was something that they could feel about the room when I had taken that extra degree of care. Even if I had not moved it, it seemed like it looked good to me.
Yeah.
So I'd like to drill down on that kind of furniture moving idea, right? From your perspective, because when you say people just said you seem different or feel different, what is it? What is that furniture moving? And I've actually got one question for you. You talked about not having gotcha moments. Tell me about those gotcha moments, because that's a bit like moving the furniture and finding some crumbs underneath it.
Yeah, and I'll get to the gotcha moments in a second. But
Sure.
you know, building an investment firm, no different than cleaning the room, the furniture. In many ways, there's 1,000 different decisions to make along the way, and those decisions are, you know, everything from how you address your strategy, what investments you're going to be in, how you build your team, how you build your infrastructure, what terms you put in your PPM, how you market, how, you know, I mean, there are literally, I mean, over the last 13 years, thousands and thousands of decisions that we've had to make. And they're not all black and white. And you look at what your competitors are doing and what you're doing and who's doing well in the market and who you want to emulate. And you come back to, you know, doing the right thing. And so making sure that you're really, if you were an investor, how would you treat yourself, right? And what do they want to know? Because the best investors to us are people who are, they're well informed into what, because this is a long-term commitment. When you get into one of our funds, and we do funds, we don't really syndicate individual deals, although we do have sidecar deals. But when people get into our funds, it's a long-term commitment. And that's why we use the term, these are our investment partners, right? It's not investment manager, but they're truly partners, and it's a partnership. And in any partnership, you want to make sure that expectations are set clearly, and that in a year or 2 years or 3 years, they're not saying, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, I didn't know that. So we've always decided that everything should go up front and center, everything, right? And I think that's very different than a lot of firms out there. And in fact, we get penalized by it sometimes, because people might say to us, well, that seems expensive. And then you dig in and you say, why? Why does that seem expensive? You know, well, because this firm does this. And then there's an education process that has to, that you really have to go into sometimes. But sometimes you don't even get to have that conversation, because the face of it, we don't pretend to be the low cost provider, but we're certainly commensurate with institutional pricing. And what is really hard is when you have your competitors who are out there and they're marketing in a way that might be legal, but it's disingenuous. And it's really like trying to hook them in, whether it's, you know, the way they underwrite and the way they project returns or their fees or something like that. So we've always just established this way of doing business that is, we don't use the word transparency. We actually have a saying in our business, like, you won't find that word on our website, you know, or anything. It's about what you do and how you do it. And that's what it is. And it's really up to the investors to decide if we're being transparent, right? And transparency to me isn't hiding something on page 77 of the PPM and saying, hey, it's in there, it's written down, you should have read that, right? So any of the really important things we put in our FAQs, we put up front and center. But years ago, I remember, you know, somebody working for us, and this really resonates throughout our firm, is he said to me, what I love working, he said, well, exactly. He said, you know, I love working here because he had so many conversations with investors who had law backgrounds and everything. And there was never one of those gotcha moments. There was never one of those, aha, this is it on page 4 or 5 or 8 or 10. And I can tell you, in a lot of products, there are gotcha moments. And so you have to almost be a forensic financial analyst to go in there and understand what you're getting into and get to the bottom of it. And we don't want that to be the case. So even with our entire investor relations team, we view it as not, you know, a sales pitch, but an education. And so our team is there to answer questions so that people understand what they're buying, how we make money, what it is we do as a manager, what our expectations are of them and their expectations are of us.